Today we're going to jump back into Hybrid Dash. So for anyone who's not familiar with this style of deck list, the way that works is that you would have a 60 card aggro main board. This would be into your aggressive matchups, right? And then in the sideboard, you would have a small control style package where you would run Induction Chamber and Plasma Purifier. So this was an answer to Olden, where that you had the room and the life total required to set up these items and then have a very powerful end game. The question with Bright Lights is that, did OG Arcane Rising Dash get any new tools? And is the hybrid plan still the plan to be on, or is there a new, better strategy available? This is going to be a short video because as far as I can tell, not really. Most of the Bright Lights cards outside of the new style effects are side grades to pre-existing cards. So when you look at things like Data Link, even a red, this is a yellow 0 to 60, right? I kind of understand, because if they just printed, 12 more copies of red 0 to 60, I think you would probably have a problem maybe with the deck, or it'd just be too good. You could just play Redline 0 for 4s and play like Hanabi Blaster and then just like out damage every other deck in the game. But the problem is that we got like 200 cards, and I think that maybe you just kind of side grade a couple of them and probably play the exact same game plan. I don't think that Dash still has a really good answer to full block fatigue style plans outside of maybe Induction Chamber. Your only real anti-fatigue tools are going to be still Maximum Velocity and High Octane, right? They did include some of the scripts, but I don't think that OG Dash really wants to play those compared to something like, Dash IO. So the question is, what have we replaced? Well, Yellow Throttle now can be cut, so that is a nice thing, right? So part of the benefit of this is that you're able to cut more expensive 2-cost boosts that you needed because the other 0-cost boosts were bad. So specifically like Combustible Courier, you can just replace that with Data Link. While Combustible Courier does have a pretty good on-hit into aggro metas, I think this is like perfectly fine, because if you're able to run more 0 and 1-cost boosts, it means that your maximum velocities and your high octanes are much easier to play. But there's already so many decks that can just outmatch that number anyway. So Combustible Courier being like your aggro Mirror Breaker card was fine when the deck's power level was a lot lower. Not that the power level's really gotten any much better, but you get what I'm going for, right? With higher consistency for high octane and maximum velocity, you're able to fundamentally fix your issue, which is, how do I present more damage to my opponent? Because while maximum velocity was very good, running all the boosts, core included the 2-cost boost, which meant that sometimes you just draw a Throttle and a Combustible Courier and your maximum velocity isn't playable. And the only other inclusion here is going to be Twin Drive. Now, Twin Drive is actually pretty powerful, right? It allows you to get extra action points off of high octane, or on a 4-card hand, you can actually play maximum velocity now, like fairly consistently. So if you have a Blue Pitch, a Twin Drive, and a 0-cost, so any 0-cost, if you want to brute force your hand, you could even play any of these, 0-cost blue boosts. So it's perfectly fine and fairly reasonable to do. But on a 4-card hand, you can play maximum velocity because you can boost twice off the Twin Drive. You're floating 1, you play your 0-cost, use Foundry Heart, you get to play maximum velocity. So pretty good, right? Playing maximum velocity in a 4-card hand is literally impossible until now, unless if you had core out. But that's about where it ends. So that's basically it for the deck, right? So same old. You go into the sideboard, it's what you've seen before, right? You have a boost plan. If you're into an aggro deck, if you think the game is going to go long, you're going to bring in your pistol plan. If you're against an aggro deck that you think could hedge for fatigue or has the potential to fatigue you out, all you have to do is just swap your starting Tekla Pounder for starting Induction Chamber, and that's it, right? So that would be into something. The best example previously was Briar. Something like Bolton could try the same thing. So anytime you're wondering, could this person potentially block me out and try to run me out of cards, you would just swap your Tekla Pounder for Induction Chamber. The answer is actually probably in most matchups you do run the Induction Chamber. The exception would probably be maybe something like Lexi or Phi. Those decks are pretty easy to run over with Tekla Pounder. If they're just trying to full block you out, you should present more than enough damage to beat them. Anytime you're in doubt, just play Induction Chamber instead of the Tekla Pounder. So that's a deck list. Give it a shot. Let me know what you think. Not much to talk about, but some small but important upgrades to the deck. Consistency should go up, which is always a good thing. But until next time, thank you for watching.